We're back with another video. Hi, Jasmine Crochetery here on YouTube. I'm not excited, but I'm excited at the same time for this. Today we're testing a new yarn. And if you recognize this, or the title, or the thumbnail, this is gonna be an interesting time for me. So I have here what I think is a newish yarn. It's the first time I've seen it. This is actually in Michaels now, which I noticed, so I was like, dope, let me grab some. So this is the Yarnspirations Bernat all-in-one blanket granny square. And if you know me, if you don't, that's fine. The videos are up still. But they released the all-in-one granny square, and as you can see, that did so well for me when it was Red Heart. Let me see if I can find one that looks a little bit better. Yeah, this... the first time worked so well for me. I do not like the original Red Hearts all-in-one granny square. I don't think it works. I couldn't get it to work, so I don't like that one. They came out with a flower one, which I want to do soon. I started using one of those balls of yarn, and then I bought another one to film with. Just haven't done that yet, so you will see one on their flower power version coming soon after this one, obviously. But this one's for blanket yarn, so you know I unfortunately got to test this one too. It says on the side here how many balls do you need, and it looks like for 3 balls you need a children's blanket, and then 5 balls will make like a throw blanket. So I have 3 here to start. I'm obviously going to have to purchase more of them, which I will do in my off time, probably sometime this weekend. But yeah, so just so you can see the label, it does that. Yeah, this is just their free patterns for your inspirations. That's what the granny square I chose look like. It's actually like a different pink. It's more of like a nudie pink, and then like a pastel pink, and then like a teal color, and then the yellow, and then whatever orange color you would call this. So I have my middle strand here, which is going to start me on the granny square. The granny square, how much yarn you need, gonna have to buy more obviously. And then it says one granny square will make, or one ball will make 4 granny squares. This is only making 4 granny squares. It says to use an 8mm crochet hook, which I have an 8mm crochet hook here. This is part of my custom collection. But sometimes it works, sometimes it won't. I typically use a 9mm when using blanket yarn, so I also have my 9mm hook here that I'm going to be bringing with me today. And I'm going to try the 8mm first, since that's what they recommend, so I have the best chance of this working. There's also typically a pattern on the inside. Let me see if I can pull this off really quick just to pull it up. That actually looks kind of nice. I'm not going to play around with it too much because I really don't want it to break apart. Yeah, so on the inside of the thing, it gives instructions on how to make the granny square. So I'm going to follow their instructions on the inside for their granny square, which is what I did last time, and it did not work. Just so, if it doesn't work, it's not me. I used your recommended hook, I used your recommended pattern, but I'm going to try it. And if it needs to be a little looser, if the color changes aren't working, I'm going to switch up to the 9, and if it works, perfect. If not, I'll do the best that I can with it. It'll still look cool in the end regardless. It's 240 grams over 8.5 ounces. And yeah, like I said, I've got 3 of them to start. I'm obviously going to buy 2 more to make the 5. I kind of want to have a blanket that is like partially bigger than a throw blanket because I actually want to use this blanket. So I'm probably going to have to end up buying 2 more additionally on top of the 5 that they say that I'll need. So I'm going to need like 7 of these, I would assume. I'll know when I use the first ball, because then I can like gauge how much bigger I want it to be. But this kind of stinks. Like, you need so many of them just to make one project. Okay, these are Bernat blankets, so they're a little bit more on the pricier side, just as a fair warning for everybody, because I know crocheting is an expensive hobby. I think it was $12.99 per ball plus tax, obviously. So yeah, this was basically $13. $13. $13. Oh boy. And I'm gonna need to buy another one. Another 4, most likely. That's a lot of money on like a blanket. Typically, I find that you spend on materials for blankets to be around $50 to $60, usually, not including the time that you take to make them. So blankets are not efficient to make for like reselling purposes, in my opinion. So I don't typically make them, but I usually make one a year. I would not have done it this early yet, but I have to test the yarn. So I have a craft show today, it's Saturday, from the previous videos that I've been mentioning. So I'm gonna bring this with me, and in between all of the customers and chit chat, I'm gonna be sitting there trying to work on some of these squares. So I'll come back later and show you how much I was able to make today, or maybe I'll come back tomorrow after I'm able to get a little bit more done. And I'll show you what one of the squares looks like, my brief thoughts and opinions, and then I will use all 3 balls, make the children's size blanket, and then I'll show you guys that, and then I'll come back after I've made enough granny squares to make a full size blanket. So wish me luck, because this might irritate me. I'm gonna do my best to make it work. I promise. I will do my best to make the Bernat all-in-one go work. Also, because I think it'll look really cool if it does actually like give this effect. So I will see you.
We're back. It's been weeks since I found the intro for this video, and I just want to say this is going to be a little jump cutty because I do have 2 tiny little videos for you to put in here. So one, I'm going to explain the 2 clips real quick, and then I'll get into the actual finalized product. You can see a little bit of my lap here. But one, the first clip you're going to see is when I started crocheting the browns. I said in the first part, I believe, that I was going to a craft show when I was recording it, and I was going to make the squares there. I did. I made them at my craft shows. I stood there crocheting the granny square blanket. But when I was in the car and I started the square, it was the first color change that it was supposed to change colors. You see how it's supposed to go from the orange to the peach to the teal to the yellow to like this other orange. So it was the very first color change, and there was like this much, I think, not even exaggerating, this much yarn before the next color change, and I was using the 8mm. I said I was right with that one. So I was like, oh my god, it doesn't work. So then I was like, maybe if I up the gauge size, it'll work. So I pulled the beginning row and I redid it with the 9mm, and it was still pretty off. Not by as much, but still like a good 5 centimeters. It was still off. So the only thing I could resort to do was color change it myself, because unlike the granny square video with the acrylic version of the yarn, I wasn't sure what I was doing with granny squares, and I ended up making a ton of random bags and different variants. But this is for a blanket, and I wanted the blanket, and I wanted the blanket to look nice. So I opted to color change myself in between the colors. Regrets. Because it took so stinking long to do that. I don't recommend that. It took so long. There was so much yarn, and I will show you that afterwards. But the second itty bitty video that you're going to see in a second here is the video of the smaller version of it. Remember, the labels said here that 3 balls would make like a child size and 5 would make like an adult throw size. I disagree with that, but I took a tiny video at the craft show that I was at for what the 3 looked like, because I was supposed to film that morning of, and I completely forgot about it in the midst of getting ready to leave that morning. So watch the 2 quick little videos. Now that you've seen those literal 3-second clips, we can get back to finishing this video, which has been a roller coaster. And first, just to continue on with me 3 seconds prior said about the 3 balls, I just want to show this was 1 label, 2 label, 3 label, 4 label, and 5 labels. I purchased 5 of these yarns because it sold me that I would need 5 of these yarns to make a blanket. I think they were like either $11.99 or $12.99 a ball. I'm pretty sure it was $12.99 a ball because that's what Bernat usually is. So about $13 for one of these rolls. I spent spends a little too much money. I will say though, in terms of blanket, it looks really nice. Let me see if I cannot back up, but it does look pretty good. Look, you can already see my leg down there. I'm wearing shorts, I swear. You can see this is how long it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how long it's supposed to be. It showed on the label that it goes 4 across. I accidentally put the 5th row on too long, so it's not supposed to have an extra row going this way. That was my fault, completely my fault. But even then, like if I were to put this up to my shoulders, which I think is how at least some people sleep, not maybe not majority, but some people, I definitely sleep like this, with the blankets like cocooning me. If I were to hold my foot up, like if I'm laying fully down, it does not go all the way to my feet. So it is not a full-size blanket the way I would have wanted it to be. So usual crochet blankets aren't typically. It's usually just a throw size, which I can live with, you know, for the sake of just throwing it on top of another blanket, especially since it's winter. I can live with that because it's barely winter. It's barely winter right now, and I'm already sleeping with 3 layers on at night. So I'll happily take a 4th. But there's 2 final questions I have to answer. Did it work? And is it worth it? Do I think it's worth it? Yes. Did it work? No. I think it's worth it for the convenience. If you're going for a blanket, to know that you only need 5 of these and that each one has all of the colors already for you. You don't need to get a random amount of each color, because obviously you're going to need more of this orange and this yellow in comparison to the like peachy orange or light pink there. So just for the basis of, you wouldn't know how much yarn you would need if you were to do this with each ball of it separately. I will give it that. It is pretty convenient for the average crocheter to just have this. But out of all of these squares, each ball made 4 granny squares. So here's 4, 8, 16, 20 granny squares. 8, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, 20 granny squares. It perfectly color changed twice. Twice out of 20 squares, with every color change possible here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 opportunities on 4 squares, which is 40 chances probably for having an accurate color change. It worked twice. I got 2 out of 40. I opted to make it look nice and changed every color myself, which results in ends for weaving ends, which is not ideal. You can see here all the little ends. Now I did a, what's it called? Like magic join or like a magic knot, something like that, where it makes it so the knot's pretty much impenetrable. Not really, but in science terms, it makes sense. Should you yank at it to your heart's desire? No. Is it going to come apart at the slightest? No. So I did that, so I'm going to cut them short, and then I'm going to opt to burn them a little bit, just so they won't fray and potentially come undone. But this is going to be now 4 of these on every granny square. So 40 of these ends that I need to weave in, like on every square, even at the bottom. I'm not kidding. It only worked twice, which isn't very convenient for the entire purpose, but it technically is what it says it is. It is an all-in-one granny square. You just got to put in a little effort, or just accept the fact that not every single granny square is going to look the exact bolded way you want it to. Which brings me to my next 2 funny points. How much yarn did I salvage then, if I had to repeatedly cut the yarn myself? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Out of the Bane color, this like orange color, after all of the color changes that I had to change, and I slip stitched these together as I went. I have this much left over of it. Now each piece randomly is connected depending on where the square ended. So not each string is the exact same length. Some of them I did need a little bit more than others, but this is like an actual scrap ball of yarn. So it's like, that's nice. I swear I had a teeny one somewhere else, which would have been about like this big in comparison. But this much of the orange, and I actually got a bag to put all of it in. It's just a Disney bag. It's cute. But that's not. So at the end of every color change, it would look like this. So this is the pink. I don't want to like knock it over. This is the pink yarn, for example. It would look like this and then work into the teal. But this is how much leftover pink I had before I had to do the next row of the teal. This is where the teal is supposed to start. Okay, that's one. How about the peach? This is where the color is supposed to start. Let's get another one. This is where the color is supposed to start. It's varying differences. Like this one's definitely shorter in comparison to this one. Then you had the teal one. Again, this was the color changing spot. And you could pull out each of these and be like, okay, yeah, they're all varying different spots of where the color change would have occurred if it was occurring naturally. Like this one's here. But these are all the scraps. I saved them all. This bag is deeper than you think it is. There is a ton in here. I think there's still a couple more itty bitty little pieces to throw on top like spaghetti. These are all of the scrap remains from me needing to actually color change it myself. Now, it may look a little crazy. Like obviously this, you're not going to get much out of that, except maybe like a tiny bit of blush on a stuffed animal if you're lucky. But one like this easily could have been 2, 3, maybe 4.5 stitches. This is a lot of wasted yarn. Just in my opinion, like if it's a length like this, I keep it to embroidery because that is a length in comparison to one like this. This I'd probably just use as stuffing in a project. This I would still stitch with. Because if you were single stitching, this is like 8 or 9 single stitches. Like, I failed yarn chicken a lot. Trust. I know this. I know the process. This is also just a lot of yarn in general. Like, so why I kept all of these remnants, you may ask? 2 simple answers. One, I had to show it for the video's sake of being, this isn't as convenient as I would have liked it to be. But 2, I don't like wasting yarn, and while I'm probably not going to need to embroider with any of these colors, I will use it for stuffing randomly. So it's going in my stuffing bag where I do a little bit of stuffing and then one of these strands. I'm probably going to cut them so it's not this long strand that you can pull out of a plushie, and it's more like stuffing. Excuse me. But I do think for a nice crocheter who just wants something to do, it is a nice idea. It's a nice yarn. It turned out just like the acrylics versions did, which wasn't surprising to me. I expected it going into it. I think maybe if I would have opted to even done a 10 to 12 millimeter, it would have looked a little better. Am I gonna spend more money on this yarn that I already don't like to make a whole nother blanket again? No. But if you guys really want to see it, I will purchase 1 ball, which would make 4 squares, and I will turn it into some kind of bag because I'll waste another $13. I won't waste another $50. And I've seen really chunky, like tote crossbody bags, and I think that would be cute. So I'd be down to do that. Another blanket. I have other blankets I want to make by the end of the year. Making a second one of these will not be it. But I think it is a cool concept. I really like the concept. I wish it would just work. And I will say, I do understand that not every ball is going to be the same. There will be a bit of give and take. And how this turned out for me might not have worked for other YouTubers or content creators as such, they could have had no problems with it at all and thought it was flawless and that every single color change worked for them. But we're not talking just one ball messed up. All 5 were like this. I think it's a really cool idea. Like, I can't say it enough. I think it's such a cool idea. It just doesn't work in practicality unless you want the yarn bar. But for the sake of convenience, I do think it is a really cool idea. If you want to make a granny square blanket, it is like a nice turn too. Yeah, there's a little bit of weaving ends. You can live with that if you're making a blanket, honestly. You kind of know that you're probably going to be doing that. If you want any of the color schemes, like, go for it. It is pretty cool, and crochet blankets are honestly so thick, and it is very nice, and it does look very nice, and it is a decent size for using as a blanket. Just not gonna fit like a king or a queen bed, maybe a twin if you like sleep with your knees tucked all the way up. But in practicality, it doesn't work out that well. So now I have tried the acrylic red hearts granny all-in-one square, and now I've tried the Bernats all-in-one granny square. And I know I have to do the flower one. I purchased 2 balls of it. That video will come eventually, but not anytime soon. It is holiday season coming up, and I have a lot of holiday plans. I actually have a few videos already planned that I want to do, and an entire advent calendar that I want to make for myself and my family, which I think will be really cool. But I'm not going to get too much into it because I do want that to be its own video, because I would need to ramble a lot and explain a lot for that. So that's going to be its own video in the future. And if you tuned in this long and you've seen my other content, you'll know that I've been making a tapestry on and off camera for quite a while now as a pattern test, and I finally finished it. So if you want to see it, I'm gonna show you. If you don't want to see it, you can click off now. There will be a new video up this weekend, hopefully. I don't have anything filmed yet, so I'm gonna be needing to film ASAP. That's not good. But for those of you that do want to see, here is what it looks like. It does have a little hanging piece, so you can actually hang it up on the wall. It's got like a little meteorite down here. The Final Fantasy IX up here. It's got like a little purple line groove going through the background. And I feel like from a distance, you can't even tell it's crochet. So I'm going to need to get it up real close for you to see the stitches and the color changing and how cool it looks. It looks absolutely dope. I love working with this person on Ribbler. I don't know what their name is off the top of my head. I think it's like Princess Monster or something, or like Monster Crochet. I don't know. If you go to one of my pattern test videos, or one of my written patterns, I usually, or video patterns on here, I have my Ribbler account there, or you can look it up. It's just the Crochetery at Ribbler. I don't have too many patterns there. I do want to make more in the future, so fingers crossed we have time to do that eventually. But it is under my makes, so you can go and get the pattern for it yourself. And they have more tapestry patterns coming out, and I'm definitely gonna be applying for them because this is beautiful. And I'm going to stop showing it off now. I put a fabric on the back too. But that is all I have for this video. I need to get this video up like now and decide what I'm filming this week. So we'll see. I'll figure that out by tomorrow. Bye guys.